30 p.m. Eastern. We bring you conversations of creatives of all likes, all walks. And today we're going to have a cool one. I already feel it. I felt the energy from the gate. And I can't wait for you guys to get a little taste of it. So right now what we're doing, we're making sure all the engines is working. The app is running smooth, Apple TV, Google TV, and again, all the other TVs. And again, if you want to get your drinks, your popcorn, whatever it is, your notepad, because you might want to be taking notes, because I know there's going to be some gems in this one. So before we even go into that, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little taste of some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. This record right here is called Space and Time. And sometimes we need space and we need time. So we're going to see what this record is about. So check this out, and we're going to get the show going right now. Again, tell your friends to tell a friend to jump on right now. MJMG presents SHU Radio. We sitting down with Marvette Williams. I'm gonna stop the music for that right there. It's gonna be dope. Let's check this out, y'all. This is Space and Time, and we're gonna be right back with the set.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
Wish I was myself, so we could be together. Oh, that would be so lovely. I don't want to see tomorrow. That would be too frightening. Oh, time, it brings us closer. Oh, as I go through space and time, with you only on my mind. If I look, I seek, I find what I'm after. And as I go through space and time, with you only on my mind. If I look, I see delusions of grandeur. You make me wish I was myself, so we could be together. That would be so lovely. I don't know what tomorrow brings. With all of my growing, it's sure to bring the future. As I go through space and time, with you only on my mind. If I look, I seek, I find what I'm after. And as I go through space and time, with you only on my mind. If I look, I see delusions of grandeur. Skies, and and time has changed because of you.
Shout out to everybody that's on right now. We are sitting down with a talent, performer, singer, songwriter, creative, great energy. We're going to talk about the energy, the journey, and the creative aspects of Marvette Williams. And the thing that I want everybody to tune in, right? We're gonna be talking about different aspects of this creativity and the journey. And every aspect of this, there's gonna be some part that we all could take from this journey. So get your notepads ready, get everything, keep your ears open, and have your questions online because we're gonna be taking questions as well. But without further ado, let's introduce Marvette Williams to the set. Marvette, how are you doing today? Oh, let me take you. I'm sorry, I had you still on mute.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey.
Here we go. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, what's good?
I'm good. Everything is good. Everything good.
Good. I'm glad.
Before we even get deep into anything, could you give the people just a brief synopsis of who is Marvette Williams?
Yes. Well, Marvette is a dreamer. Marvette has always been a creative. Marvette has always been a doer. She's never been scared. And she's always been courageous. And I just think that the beginnings of my journey it propelled me to where I am today. You know, no mistakes, no regrets. And everything on the path has been to lead me up to this moment, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned always being a doer. Could you and a creative? Could you remember that first moment? What was it, the performing or the acting that really gravitated into your creative aspect?
It was the performing. It was the performing. I always knew that I had something inside of me, a voice, even back to when I was younger, singing the ABCs. The first time I sang the ABCs in front of my elementary school class, they wanted me to sing it again. And so that's when I knew that what I had inside of me was true. I was like, okay, this validates me, you know. So I was like, from that moment on, I just said, okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going. I knew I had a voice inside of me, and even though some people might have said, hey, maybe you don't, maybe you know, everybody sounds the same when they're singing in the shower, singing with the radio, but I just knew that there was something else that I had to say, something else that I had to do.
And was there any one moment? I know you mentioned even when they said you probably don't, or you have the voice that everyone has, and it's very instrumental and interesting that you mentioned that, because as a creative, we always hear like a downside. No, we don't know. How did you overcome them? And if there is a one moment that you could share a moment of that that sticks out, we would love to hear that.
Well, one of my favorite singers of all time was Minnie Riperton. And so when I just felt that energy and when I sang along with her and I just felt like I was in tune with that, I just knew that there was just more for me to do. And I could hear my voice, I could feel the feelings. And then finally, I would begin writing. And in one of my first classes, I wrote a piece on Dr. Martin Luther King. And it was just one of those things where she posted it for everybody to see. And I just knew that it was just something that I had. I had a writing talent, I had a vocal talent, and it was just something that needed to be honed. So when I got the chance to actually get on stage for the first time, which was earlier in my younger career in school, got up there, sang in front of the entire student body, and knees shaking and, you know, voice trembling, but they stood up and cheered. So I just knew that was the time.
Nice,
It
nice.
kind of came.
And did you write your own presentation or work at a young age as well, that came later on?
Yeah, no, I started writing poetry on my own, writing small things, kind of like haiku, you know, even if they were short, you know, just things that spoke to me. And it didn't have to be super, super complicated. But if it just spoke to me, just something inside of my heart, it was just something that I, wanted to expound on over time. Yeah. I,
Nice.
yeah.
So you started out very young,
Hmm.
finding your creativity, Mark. When was that moment that you just knew, like, this this is it, like, this is what I'm doing?
You're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. Okay. So when, as a young kid, or just a little bit older, like college age, I joined a group in LA. We were called Afreaka Nature. And we were around the time where it was like a funk punk type of rock type of
Okay.
vein. And I penned a song named Swallow, which was kind of like an anti-establishment type of song. Take away my homeland you know, to impose me to you, take away my identity so I don't know who to turn to. Rob me of my gold, take away my God, but the time will come when we will see it through. I will swallow for no one. And that just became like our anthem, you know. And I just knew that that was the point where, you know, whether or not I'm singing something about love or I'm singing something that has a political stance, that this means something, and it also is of service to those people who are listening to it, to give them the courage to stand up for what's going on, in their world,
that
you
that
know.
that right there still resonates to this day. Like, the power that it translates and transcends still has the direct meaning right now, this very day. And that's the superpower that you
Hmm.
have. Did you ever record that, or was just performing?
We did record it. We recorded it independently. I do have an old independent recording of it, but we never released it officially. So
Okay.
maybe one day I can like drop it. Maybe we can one day, drop it for everybody to hear as a treat,
That would be so
because
cool.
it gets into that punk vein toward the end. But that's what it was. That's what it can be, and that's what it still is today. We're mixing up those genres.
That's right.
R&B, punk, funk, it's still there.
So was that your first recording, or no?
Yeah, that was actually my first recording. That was my first recording.
How was that experience of recording your own record for
It
the
was
first time?
it was so empowering, so incredible, so validating, and just to know that people really, really connected to it and they wanted to hear more. They wanted to hear more of that style. They supported it, and it didn't matter where I came from, what I looked like. Everybody related to it. So that was really, really important to me.
There you
Yeah.
go. The power.
Hmm.
Now you said something very powerful. You said, no matter what you look like and where you came from, everybody resonated with it.
Hmm.
And we do know in the unfairness in many different industries, from
Absolutely.
women, from being a black woman, like, there's so many roadblocks. Did you face a lot of those roadblocks or circumstances, that challenges that you had to overcome?
Oh, definitely, definitely. But you know what? It wasn't so in my face. It was just something that I could really, see and feel. Maybe they didn't believe that a woman of my stature could present that to a general public. So maybe it was maybe downplayed a little bit, and maybe the other person won the band contest. Maybe they were heard first. But we had such a good LA following that it really didn't matter. I really didn't take those things to heart. But yeah, I've been on stage. People didn't understand. I've had water splashed on me before. People who didn't understand where I was coming from. But you just stand there in your truth. You stand there in your power, and you keep going, you know?
That's right.
So,
That's right. Now, you mentioned, water being splashed, and
mhm,
sometimes things are not being said. Was there ever a
yeah.
moment that I don't want to, you really don't seem like a person that's ever discouraged. So I gotta
No.
redirect my
It's
question.
the Aries in me. It's the Aries in
Yeah,
me.
you surely don't give away that energy. But what was some of the things that you used to keep you going? Like, what was the powers that kept you in your strength?
Hmm. It was just it was my roots. It was my roots, you know, even though I grew up, I'm from Florida originally. And my father, he's from, or he lived in Havana, Florida. So I'm from the red clay, and the church was down the street. And maybe we didn't go down the, you know, maybe we didn't always go to church on Sunday, but I got that spirit and I had those roots. And so the roots were what kept me strong, you know. So I was never discouraged by any sort of, you know, wall that was put in front of me, placed in front of me, because I always knew that there was a place for me. I never had that lack mentality because I knew from, you know, my very beginnings that, you know, with the music that I came through, the music that I grew up with, soul, R&B, even rock around me, because I'm from Florida. So I got all that mixed up in me. And just knowing the real true roots of rock and roll, you know, how can I, you know, I can't step down from that. That's the origin. That's the original.
That's right.
So
That's
that's
right.
part of it.
So after recording your first record, performing,
Mhm.
getting the
Mhm.
energy, seeing what was the transition into your creative aspects from that point on?
Mhm. Well, from there, it's so funny because before I even, after I was singing with my band, Afreaka Nature, I actually joined a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Oh wow.
So yeah, yeah. So getting into that, you know, real rock and real blues circle, that really, really sparked my creativity with expounding on that spacey rock blues type of feel, that ethereal, and that radiated through all kinds of crowds, you know, rock and roll, classic rock, you know, and they really, really understood the blues aspect of rock and roll. And I just knew that I was part of something bigger when I could relate on that level too. As growing up as a child, when I first heard those songs, I really didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And then as I grew up, I was like, okay, now I get it. But it always, like I said, the roots of rock and roll were always there. And whether or not it was, you know, secular, like rock and roll radio, or from the church, I knew it was all integrated. And so I just knew that I could transcend boundaries, you know, whether or not it was a punk funk genre or it was a classic rock genre. But there was always that blues soulful element that was always there and always necessary. And so I
Nice.
always implemented that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of artists who have a difficult time being very close to the church
Hmm.
and then making music, whether it's
Yeah.
R&B or blues. Was that ever something that you had a conflict in your creative aspect, or did it genuinely just come natural?
Yeah, thankfully, no. Thankfully, no. I never had, luckily, we didn't have to go to church every Wednesday and Sunday. You know, it was kind of like, you know, if you want to go, you can go. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't want to go, hey, you know, we're just like everybody cleaning up on that Saturday or Sunday. That music is playing. You're
Yes.
soaking it in. And I was that type of kid who would sit in front of the speaker and just soak all the vibes in. And I was that type of kid who would look at that record cover and just soak all that art in. And there was just so much there for me to take in.
Oh man.
So yeah, I was like a sponge, definitely.
I know exactly how it is. As you're saying it, you're painting the picture of like my whole childhood.
Yeah,
Were you performing outside of just music around that time as well, or because I know how close those worlds are?
yeah.
Was there ever a separation between the two of how you like administrated that talent?
Well, I'm also an actor. I'm also an actor. So I did have some early roots in the theater. I always knew that I could sing. I always knew that I could get on stage and perform. So I had these dreams of, you know, Broadway. I had these dreams of being on stage like Liza Minnelli. I had these dreams of being on stage like, even though I wasn't a dancer, like Alvin Ailey, you know, Revelations. I had all those aspirations, Evita, you know, all those different things. And so I did spend a lot of time on the stage growing up. And so throughout my early years and through higher education, and then finally onto the big stage, I made it to the big stage with Lion King after I finished a lot of my rock and roll band career, So I spent a lot of time acting, but yeah, I soaked in a lot of that from
So
the theater world.
I didn't want to, for the viewers and everybody, I didn't want to go straight into the Lion King because I was so curious, but I wanted the story to build into it. But how was that experience, and how did you get involved in the Lion King?
It was just a natural progression, actually. When I was singing with the Pink Floyd tribute band, after I finished that, I went on and I did a production of the '60s musical Hair, and so the dawning of the age of Aquarius, which is so funny because this is the year of the age of Aquarius right
Aquarius.
now. And so with those roots, those classic rock roots, that took me to that next phase of my theater world. So before that, before I really hit the big stage, I was doing small theater in LA. I was doing shows like Pippin, I was doing shows like Hair, and wanting to just continue with my craft. And I knew that I had a stage presence, whether it was acting or whether it was music mixed together. So I was like a musical actress, and also mixing that up with singing with my bands off to the side.
That
So
that's a
it kind of
talent right
mounted.
there. That's no joke.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
That's serious business. Now, do you have a preference? Does one supersede the other, or
Mm.
or maybe in the moment?
Oh yeah, theater was number one. Definitely, theater was number one. I wanted to hit the big Broadway stage lights. Right away. I wanted to do things like cabaret. I wanted to do things like ragtime. I wanted to. Actually, my first idol actually was Donna Summer. So
Okay,
she was like my first type of mix of theater and music that I really, really related to. That whole sensual, theatrical vibe, I think she perfected that as the
yeah,
queen of disco.
sure
And
did.
I, and so I had Diana Ross, I had Minnie, I had Donna Summer growing up in me. And those were my idols growing up. And so I wanted to continue that in my own way on the stage.
Nice. You
Yeah.
you you mentioned some really profound talents. How do you feel about the demographic of performing as well as music now, and how
hmm
artists approach it? Like from your viewpoint of seeing and being a part of both worlds?
hmm
What's your perspective of that?
Yeah. I mean, there's just it's hard to say, but the only thing I can say is that there's a space for everybody. Timing is everything, and you just have to keep persevering. When I was in the early stages of my theater career, just trying to get on the big Broadway stage or just get on stage, period. Even though the acting the script said, this woman is blonde, redheaded, and they're from Wisconsin. I submitted myself for that. I was
Yeah,
like, no, I can play that part. I can do that part. And maybe they looked at it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I just knew that I had to put myself out there, whether I was nervous or not. That was just part of my drive. Like there's a part for everybody. I just don't have that lack mentality. I want to keep that mentality open. And so today, I just feel like maybe sometimes with all the stimulation that we get from social media, we get bogged down, we get discouraged, and we feel like maybe there's only one sector for us. And I really, really believe that if we just keep putting ourselves out there, we can break down those walls. We can put our places in those different rooms, those different spaces. And I think that's part of it, finding yourself in those different rooms. I encourage, those other artists as well, who might come to me for advice to just put yourself out there. Put yourself in those different rooms because there is a space. There is a space.
That is words of wisdom right there. The chat said, well seasoned, creative. One person said, this is out of the blocks, out of box, most definitely. And then we did have one person that said, Marvette, let us hear something. They trying to put you on the spot out here.
Oh, okay. Well, well, I did sing a gig the other night, so I am kind of hoarse today, but I
Yeah.
must say,
And come out to the shows if you can, and come see
yeah,
her in action. Come see her in action.
yeah.
How long did you I mean, I could imagine the nights and the days of Lion King, but how long did you perform and be a part of it?
16 years.
That you probably was on that show longer than some of the viewers that's watching right now.
Exactly. It-
16 years.
yeah, that was like the, bread and butter for the longest time. That was like the tip top. When I first saw that show being played on the Tonys, I knew right then and there that that was something that I wanted to do. And I had just gotten off a production of Hair, actually. So I had gone on tour to Europe with a production of Hair after I had done a production in Hollywood. And it just so happened that the original writer, James Rado, came to see our little Hollywood production. And what happened was I wanted to do the show, but I didn't hear anything. It turns out that the lead woman actually rolled her ankle, and so they called me to go fill in for her. So I did. I ended up going to Europe, doing that show there, and it's kind of funny because Donna Summer and I kind of have like these different, like these kind of parallel type of things, because she started in that musical too, Hair. She did it in Germany, and I also spent some time in Germany doing Lion King later on. So it's so interesting. But yeah, it's just interesting how it all kind of falls together. After that, I just came back. I was ready to go, and things just kind of fell into place after that.
Nice. Now you've been able to do a lot and be a part of amazing things, and I've watched in the little bit of time that I've been doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I've been seeing a lot of people having issue or problems balancing their mental wellness and being in these spaces. How did you balance
Mhm.
between just life itself and showing up each and every day?
Yeah, it is a balance, and you have to show up every day, but you do have to rest. You do have to know when you're tired. You have to know when you have to save your voice. You know when you have to save your body. You have to take care of yourself, and they do give you time for that. And it's important for you to take that time. So mental health is really, really, really a big thing. And I really, really applaud those artists who are taking the time to recognize that, because if you burn yourself out, it's just not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Because when you're on that real on the true stage, you're doing about 8 shows a week, and and the show goes on. The show goes on whether there's one person in stage or not. They do provide, sometimes they have understudies, things like that, but you are, if you have that drive in you, then you just push through and you just keep showing up. And that's what when I first started, I just kept showing up. And the time just went on, and lo and behold, I've been doing it for some time.
Wow, wow. They're saying in the chat, she is dropping gems, and that you are. And I'm glad everyone on the views right now, viewership, are taking heed, and what is hitting is resonating.
I'm
So
so glad.
after the 16 years, that's kind of like in some people's lives right now. That's almost a lifetime for some people. But
Hmm.
after 16 years, the creativity, obviously it didn't lose any spark or anything, but
Hmm.
what was the plan for you after
Hmm.
that?
More,
There we go.
more.
I love
Yeah.
it.
There's so much more, there's so many more shows, there's so much more art to be made. There's so many more songs inside, so much more to comment on about life and where you've been through and what you've been through, whether it's been love, whether it's been heartbreak, whether it's been, success, whether it's been triumph, whether it's been, you know, grief. There's just more. And I think people shouldn't limit themselves.
That's true.
Just yeah, there's more creativity. The creativity never ends. You know, there's always more to expound on. There's more
Always.
life.
There is more life. I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
And what motivates you the most?
Mm, the melody, the music, the feeling. There's so many great artists out here right now that I love, that are just so inspiring. And so when I hear their music, when I hear what they're talking about, when I hear their way of creating and getting their point across, I get inspired. I feel I feel that newness, you know, and that's what keeps me inspired to keep going.
Nice.
So
If you can, and since because everyone's loving, I'm seeing the flowers, people saying more, that part, no limits. You are really fueling and inspiring many. Can you give our inspiring or those actively creative in their passions, whatever their passions may entail, if you had any
mhm,
words of advice to share
mhm,
with our listeners, especially those on the MJMG Presents app who can't
mhm.
write and text us, but could you share some words of wisdom? Because you got them on fire right now.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, just, take that time. Take that stillness. Get some quiet in your life. Breathe. Listen to yourself. Listen to those words coming down to you, because there is, you know, some creativity coming to you. And if you are an open, channel, if you're clear in your body, if you're clear in your mind, if you're treating yourself good, or even if you're feeling bad, there is something that you can create. There's something you can put down on paper. Write down those words, keep that diary, keep that journal, and go back and look and see where you've been, see where you've gone, and see how far you've come. And I think you'll be surprised that there's something there for you. Don't ever regret the path that you've gone on, because there are no mistakes. There's no wrong turns. Whatever turn that you took, that was the turn you were meant to take. That was the lesson you were meant to learn.
That's
And
right.
it's okay.
It's okay. That's right. I got a question. Did you have any mentors during your journey, or this was all lived
Mm.
experiences?
Well, definitely mentor number one is my mother. You know, mentor, you know, mentor number one was my mother. I saw her strength. I listened to what she was. We were joined at the hip. She has passed on, but we were
Blessings.
joined at the hip. She was cool. I loved her style. I saw where she came from. I saw how she got through things, and she came out with a smile. And even if those of them who were, left behind, she was okay leaving them behind. And I saw that, like, okay, I learned that, but now that part is done, and I'm moving on my path, and I'm gonna feel good about me, feel good about myself, and the journey I've been on, and I'm gonna continue to be happy and live my life. And so she was mentor number one, through music, through style, through attitude, and just through the fruits of the family and the friends that she had around her. So she was mentor number one for sure.
Gotcha. I could feel and I hear the impact
Oh
that
yeah.
she has. Blessings to you and your family
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that. Now, there's one question. There's one question that
Let's
I
hear it.
ask everybody. Usually, I don't prepare for this, or we just chop it up. But there's only one question that I ask everybody, and that question is: if you could look back at the young Marvette
Mm,
and tell yourself anything, what would that be and why?
mm-mm. Good question. What would I tell myself? Hmm. Don't don't be discouraged, because we all get discouraged. You're gonna get tired. Take that rest. Take a break. And just know when it's time for you to emerge in the new person that you are, it will be the perfect time, no matter what time that is. So just keep going and just be, just have faith in the path. Be true to the path. Keep taking that one step, putting that one foot in front of the other.
I respect
That's what I would say.
I
Yeah.
respect that. I respect that
Yeah.
completely, and I know our viewers do. So what's next? Because, like you said, there's always more. There's always more. So
Yeah.
what's next?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm creative with a band out here. I'm in the Vegas area right now, and I'm singing. I'm still creating. I'm still singing rock and roll. I'm still singing blues. I'm still singing soul, and I'm also creating with MJMG. Um, and I'm also working toward entrepreneurship too, because that is part of the whole thing. It's not just one thing. There's many branches of creativity. And so that's what's next for me. I feel like more music is inside of me, and even better music than what I created before. I'm so excited to keep developing as an artist, as a person, and just a full person. You know, the more people that I create with, I'm really excited to meet new people and just keep on the path for sure.
Great,
Mhm.
great, great. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this. From your journey, you've been in some amazing things. Has there ever been a moment where the business been complex or confusing? And how did you maneuver through the business aspect throughout
Mhm.
your different aspects of your journey?
I'm still maneuvering through it, when I I'm a West Coast person. So when I go to the East Coast, I have to maneuver through the East Coast business, because they might not be familiar with me. So, understanding that I have to continue making a niche for myself, that's part of it. So I have to keep putting myself out there. I have to keep making myself new, and keep showing that I have new stuff to offer. So, yeah, that's part of the business. Developing, understanding the business part, understanding the new technology of how to get yourself out there, understanding about social media, understanding all the tech. It's exciting, but it takes time. And I just feel like I feel like you need to really focus on learning those new aspects of it. Business is going to come. Maybe maybe you don't get paid right away. Maybe you have to pay your dues, like keep paying those dues. Like there's been times where I've put out a lot of cool creative stuff, and maybe I did not see one red cent. And you just got to be okay with that, because that's just part of it. But there's going to be
That's
that
right.
one thing that hits, one day, one time, and once you do, then you'll know, that everything that came before was for a reason.
That's right.
So I don't get discouraged on that business aspect of it, because I'm also learning it too.
I
You
love
know.
I love that. That was a question I wanted to ask, especially for the artists that was on here. You mentioned social media,
Hmm.
and it's a real big tool, and it's not going anywhere for artists. Some
No.
artists feel like, oh man, I got to be a content creator too, and some people are
Hmm.
like, man, I love this. What is your stance on social media, and how do you see that affecting you in the future?
I love it. I want to be more active in social media. I feel like I have different ways of putting myself out there. I want to put myself out there more. I want to be more creative. I want to do more directing, more acting as well, as far as that goes. And that all kind of mixes together with the music. Just putting like a little snippet together is a creative tool, is a real creative tool. And so I just feel like it's really important. Fortunately, I'm one that loves it, so who likes it, but I also do feel like I could put myself out there more. So this is just, another stepping stone in that, on that path, definitely.
There you
So I
go.
think it's important.
It is. It is. And you balanced the perspective very well. With that being said, we're going to go into something special because everything she's been doing is something special. So we're going to go into a musical break real quick. If you got your questions in the chat, please feel free to bring those questions in while we sit here with Marvette Williams. Let's check this out. This is something special, and we will be right back with the set, y'all.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
Yes, but
I wanna let it show, babe, all the things in my heart. And I wanna let you know, babe, that we can't go on being apart. Don't you know that there's enough? No need to change who we are. Time, it won't wait for us. And the thing is, I just can't get enough. And it seems to me, here we are. And we seem to be, at the start, the start of something special. Baby, when I see your face, I let go of the past, and now I'm in a new place. I no longer feel like I'm gonna come in last. I just wanna fly away to some special place with you. Just take me in your warm embrace and look into my eyes. We got something special. We got something special. And it seems to me, here we are, and we seem to be, at the start, oh, so special, so special. I know that this love is so special. Your special love, it suits me. Can't you see this love, it just moves me. Your love is rare and I don't care. Your love is truly taking me over. So baby, keep it coming, keep giving that special love. So special, so special. I know that this love is so special. Your special love, it suits me. Can't you see this love, it just moves me. Your love is rare and I don't care. Your love has truly taken me over. So baby, keep it coming, keep giving that special love. So special, so special. It's so special. Your special love, it suits, Your love is real and I don't care. Your love is truly taking me over. Baby, keep it coming, keep giving that special love. Oh, so special, so special.
That right there is so special. Y'all hear the tones on that? Don't act like y'all don't hear that. Don't hear that.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
That right there was Marvette Williams. Was so special. I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
like that
you.
one. That one right
Yeah.
there got the vibe. So
Those were
That was from what? Like, could you speak about that project or that body of work real quick? So just in
Yeah,
case
yeah,
anybody wanna get some more
yeah,
information.
yeah. That was from my second EP that I wanted to release. Um, that was going to be in a project called Hurricane Lady, but
Okay.
it never really quite, we never really quite put it out there. But it's a guitar based song that I wrote, so I play a little bit of guitar, and my good friend produced that for me, and it was just a good time in the studio. It was a love song, and I actually did it while I was on the road. So we would take time in between shows, just like I was saying, you just keep going, you keep doing your art in between shows. Maybe you do some recording, and then
Make it happen.
you just make it happen, you know so
You you
don't
s-
let anything stop you.
you said it never came out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Well,
like the people need that. Like what's going?
I
What
know,
we
I
doing?
know, I know. I guess, just time, just the timing wasn't right. So, like I said, it was just all about timing, and the business aspect of it, just trying to get it produced in the way that I wanted to get it produced, you
Okay.
know, maybe some aspects, that I wanted to add different nuances, and we just never got that time to perfect it the way we wanted to. But hey, I was still satisfied with the way it came out, definitely, for sure.
MJMG presents said we could release
Yeah,
it, and
yeah,
then someone else was like, "Yes, release it. Love the song." So the people are
yeah,
speaking. The people are speaking.
yeah. Love to hear that. I'm so glad.
I'm gonna stop the music real quick.
Mhm.
We all know that we're in the era of everyone getting their flowers.
Mm,
But here on MG Presents Shoe Radio, we don't give our flowers, we give our honor because flowers do die, but honor lasts forever. And we want to take this time to give you your honor for your energy, your positive aspect, your strength to keep going. Not just because you're a woman, because you're black, because of you, who you are, and what you represent. To be creative, not discouraged, to keep going, to share the wisdom with those that's listening, to keep that light, which can easily be dimmed with all the noise, all the experiences, and we have multiple and ample reasons why we can dim our light, but yet you shine bright. So we want to give you your flowers this day right here and give you the honor here on Shoe Music by way of MJMG Presents.
I love that.
You are
And,
welcome.
and I humbly accept that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate that.
Your
That's
journey
beautiful.
your journey does shed a lot of light and energy, and I'm not only not and I know it's real because I'm not only feeling it, but I'm reading the chat and seeing the energy. We do have a question from a Thomas English, and he says, do you have a personal studio or home studio, and if so, do you record yourself?
I do record myself, and it's a home thing, and it's a home thing. I just do it just like everybody else, Pro Tools, GarageBand, things like that. My own personal mic, take my time to create my silence, and I just do the tracks layer by layer. The music, the vocals, the arrangements, the harmonies, and then with all that entails, you get your sound, you
That's right.
know, and
So
you can't fake your sound. It just is what it is.
it is. So I'm gonna add engineer. She's also an engineer, y'all. Like she does. We're gonna add engineer to that. Arranger. There was a lot of work that she just mentioned. I know people who
Mhm.
got like 5 people in the positions to do everything that you just said. So that's a
Mhm.
talent in itself. And they said that's dope. His
Thank
response
you.
was that dope. Now
Thank you.
before we let you go, if people wanted to collaborate, reach out,
Hmm.
do some work with you, what's the best way for them to reach out? Or even if you're open to that, what's the
Hmm.
best way for them to reach you?
Yeah. You can reach me on Instagram, one Marvette. You can reach me on Facebook, Marvette Williams. You can reach out to me through email, onemarvette@gmail.com. And from there we can go from there. I love collaborations. I love all genres of music. I'm seeing all genres right now: country, rock, blues, alternative. I really love alternative and rock blues mix. I love it all. So yeah, I'm open for all that collaboration.
Nice.
Definitely. Thank you.
And now your music that you will be releasing or creating, is it gonna have that no genre feel, or you're going into a specific type of energy vibration?
hmm Well, it's all still me. It's still all gonna be me. Harmony based, melodic based, and whether or not it's in a type of genre, it's still gonna have that soulful blues type of energy to it. The most I don't want to overstep anything, but I do have a song that's kind of rooted in Afro beats right now, which is, of course, super, super popular. And of course, I have that influence from just being part of that big show, that Lion King show. So I had that around me a lot, some true, true, incredibly African talent around me. So I had no choice but to be influenced by that.
Nice,
So yeah,
nice. We look forward for that, and we look forward for.
yeah,
I want to that the old stuff too. We gotta get all the older stuff. People was like,
yeah,
"Yo, what's going on with that? How could we check it, and how could we check you?"
yeah.
So most definitely that.
We'll get that mastered and out and to the world.
And I,
Definitely.
I I know you, I know the music is happening, and I know you spent a lot of time performing in theater and acting. Or can we look forward for some more of that? And if there is one that you would love, that you just like, that's what I want to do, or what would that one be?
Mm. Well, of course, there was the Donna Summer musical that came out a few years ago. I would love to do that show. I did, put myself out there for it, but just like I said, they didn't know who I was. If they had their one, so that was fine. I would love to work with legends like Audra McDonald. Ragtime. I would love to do a show like Ragtime, something that is just a classic, something like Cabaret, something that's like, kind of a nice spicy type of feel, Jasmine Guy, something, they did stuff
Yeah,
like that back in the day. So why not me?
that's right. That's right. Hey,
Yeah.
why not pen your own?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I
You
did
be
do an adaptation of sorts, so maybe I can get it out there.
nice, nice. There you
hmm
go. I will not be surprised if you came and I heard you build rocket ships, because the energy that you have is nothing holding you back. So I will not be surprised, and I'm glad that you're utilizing it in the
Yeah,
sense and the expression that still represents you, and that's a beautiful
absolutely.
thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave you with the final word. Anything
Yes.
you want to share, anything you want to say or address.
hmm
It's. But we got one more question, and
Yeah.
he asked, "What's your favorite food?" I don't know. It's like he taking you to dinner, but he said, "What's your
Mm.
favorite food?"
Oh my gosh. Well, I love all kinds of food, but I'm loving a lot of Italian, like real true Italian food, like the saffron sauce, the fresh pastas. I love that stuff, and of course, I love West African food. That's like some of my favorite. Like jollof rice, oxtail. I love that type of feel because that is from my roots as well. So, yeah,
There you go.
Italian, little African, and I'm happy.
That- I don't know if you taking notes out there, and we do got notice that you are releasing a new record soon.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about that record you're releasing soon?
Okay. Well, working on an EP. Doesn't have a working title yet, but has a couple singles that you might start hearing. One of them is the Afro beats based one called Waves. a nice, cool tempo to that. You know, you could groove, you could dance, you can drive to it. And it's all, you know, and it's all about that love, that feeling that you get when you know that that person and you have that vibe is coming over in waves. You know, you feel that vibe coming over you in waves. And then I also have another one that's kind of rooted in R&B more so. It's called Forever Love, and it's kind of like that young love that you feel when you first fall in love with somebody. You know that feeling, and you know that feeling's never gonna end, and it just stays with you. And that person is your number one. You know, so forever love, forever young, forever love.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
There's always a meaning. There's always a meaning. She moves with great intent, y'all.
Hmm.
Great intent.
Thank
So
you.
so now the floor is yours. Anything you want to share, address, shout outs, it's all yours.
Yes. Keep looking for me. I'm out there. I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm also on, all the social websites. Keep looking for me in music, theater. I'm doing a Women in Rock show out here in Vegas at the Voodoo Brewery Lounge on November 8th. So just keep looking for me. I'm with this group. We're called Butter. And then from there, I'm going to continue doing my solo EP with MJMG. And hopefully, we'll have that out to you soon. So I'm just excited for more creativity and more vibes that I can pass out to all of you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm ready to give it to you.
Oh man, give it another round of applause. The chat just said, "Love you, Marvette."
Love you too, guys. Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you so much for jumping on the show. Thank you for sharing so much great energy
Thank you
along
so
with
much,
your
Spice.
journey and your story. It most definitely fuels me, and I know it's fueling a lot of people. So you've added your journey even in a bigger spectrum. So
Thank you.
thank you again. And I hope you have a beautiful night. Maybe we could catch up again, see what's new, what you got, because I know there's going to be more. So maybe we could hear some more of what's going on and catch an update.
Let's do that. Let's definitely do that.
We will. We will. Have a great night now.
You too.
All right.
Nice to talk to you.
Same here. Same here. Shout out to everybody that's on right now. This is super dope. This was really amazing. I want to send a big super shout out again to Marvette Williams. You know it's now. It's the time of the night where I give you the final word, right? This is the final word. And if you didn't get anything from tonight, take this with you. You have to keep going. There was one thing that she most definitely didn't have to say. But in every essence of her conversation, there was one element that was prevalent. She continued. Even, forget the 16 years, the transition of your creativity, you have a responsibility to move your feet with it. And sometimes that feet is not just in feet, it's in your mental. Not only did she move physically in the essence of her creativity, but she even did it mentally. And one thing that she did say that was very instrumental is you got to keep that balance. And that balance is between you and your creativity, but you have to do it. And we know we said it only takes one. I think we heard that 2 times on the live, and on the chat I seen people text it like 5 times. It only takes one. But I'm gonna tell you a secret about it only takes one. You gotta do a lot of them for it to take one, because if you do it one, that was once. So even in that sense, we are recapping that you have to keep going, y'all. I'm Sport Brooklyn. This was MJMG Presents SHU Radio. I want to send a big shout out to everybody that was on the MJMG Presents app, Apple TV, Google TV, and as well as my active people on Instagram that was in the chat, going up, enjoying it. I'm seeing people saying thank you, MW. They put their hands with the hearts and the butterflies. We're getting a lot of energy. So thank you guys. Every Monday, catch us 9:30 p.m. where we humanize the superheroes and we just have some really dope conversations. So I'm gonna send y'all off. Y'all have a good one, and y'all most definitely have a good night. Marvette Williams, you have a beautiful night. Thank you again. Thank you again. All right, y'all. So what we're gonna do right now, right? We're gonna close it out with So Much Better. This is one more song from her. Said great convo. Thank you so much. Thank you for the energy. Thank you for the energy. I was seeing the chat going up. This is one more song. I think this was a song that was one of the projects that it didn't come out. So we're getting some new ones. It might be old to her, but it's old to someone that's new to who never heard it. So this is so much better. Let's check this out, y'all. Yeah, have a good night.
SHU Studio, we get busy.
Amber, I see you. Have a good one.